It was written, there's two wonderful YA writers that some of you may know, Holly Black and Justine Larbalestier. And they got into a fight online, I think about a year ago now, over which was cooler, zombies or unicorns. A battle for the ages. And I joined in on the side of Team Unicorn. So this is a YA story, so the language is a little different than the Temeraire books. But it's a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And that anthology, the anthology of stories that are coming out based on the Zombies versus Unicorns battle, is coming out on September 21st. So I encourage you all to look for that, because some of the stories are going to be hilarious. Zombies versus unicorns.
How about a zombie unicorn? Huh?
I think no crossovers were allowed. I might have cheated a little bit on that myself. All right, so purity test. Oh, stop whining, the unicorn said. I didn't poke you that hard. Excuse me, I have a hangover. I think I'm bleeding, and I'm seeing unicorns, Allison said, rubbing her shoulder. I have grounds. She groggily swung her legs over the side and sat up the rest of the way on the park bench. It was still dark, except for the big old wrought iron street lamp down the path that was stabbing at her eyes. Allison was really not ready to be awake again. Blowing the last of her money on a fake ID from Times Square and 2 six-packs of supermarket beer, instead of a bus ticket back to the group home, that seemed like a good idea at the time. She wasn't even completely ready to give up on it, although the unicorn was making a pretty good case for doing so. The unicorn was extremely pretty. A long, flowy silver hair, shiny hooves, indescribable grace, and a massive and improbable spiraling horn about 4 feet long. Also, it looked annoyed. Why a unicorn? Allison wondered at her subconscious. I mean, dragons are so much cooler. Excuse me, the unicorn said indignantly. Unicorns kill dragons all the time. Really? She said skeptically. The unicorn pawed the ground a little with a forehoof. Okay, usually only when they're still small. But Zanzibar the Magnificent did kill Galfagor the Black in 1014. You just made those names up, didn't you? Allison said. You know what? Shut up, said the unicorn. Entertaining as it would be to spend 3 weeks collecting your misguided preconceptions, there's no time. The herd only gave me 3 days, and then that idiot Talmazan gets his turn. And if you knew him, you would understand what an unmitigated disaster that would be. His turn at what? Finding a virgin, the unicorn said. Allison said, maybe he'd have more luck than you. I'm not la la la, the unicorn sang loudly, drowning her out. It even sang beautifully, perfectly on key. Have you never heard of plausible deniability? It hissed at her. Now, just be quiet a second and let me explain the situation to you. The hangover was moving to the front and center of Allison's skull, and she was starting to get a little worried. The unicorn hallucination wasn't going away. She shut her eyes and lay back down on the bench. The unicorn apparently took that as a sign to keep going. Okay, he said, so there's this wizard. Wow, of course there is, Allison said. And he's been grabbing baby unicorns. You know, Allison told her subconscious, I've got to draw the line somewhere. Baby unicorns is going too far. No kidding, the unicorn said. You don't think I'd be wasting my time talking to a human otherwise? Anyway, wizard, baby unicorns, where was I? Oh, yes. Probably he's trying to make himself immortal, which never works. Except wizards never listen when you tell them that. And we would really prefer if he got stopped before he cuts off the baby's horns trying. Let me guess, Allison said. Is the name Voldemort? No, what freakish kind of a name is Voldemort? His name is Otto Penzler. He lives downtown. So what do you need a virgin for? Do you see hands at the end of these? The unicorn said. Allison cracked an eye open enough to see that, yes, the unicorn was still there, and it was waving a silver hoof in her face. What does being a virgin have to do with opposable thumbs? Nothing, the unicorn said. But will anyone else in the herd listen to me? Of course not. They go off and grab the first 13-year-old who coos at them, and then it's all, their purity will lead the way, blah, blah, blah. Lead the way to a whole bunch of dead baby unicorns, maybe. I want a little more confidence in my heroine. I'm drunk and sleeping on a bench in Central Park, Allison said. That meets your criteria? Hello. The unicorn dipped its horn and lifted the dangling sleeve from her wadded up jacket, the one she'd been using as a pillow. U.S. Marines! The jacket had come out of a $2 bin in the Army-Navy store. Allison actually had tried to enlist 2 days ago, after the last-ditch attempt to get hired at McDonald's had failed. That apparently awesome idea had nearly ended up with her handed over to the cops for truancy. So even if the unicorn was a hallucination, she wasn't going to let on it was wrong. How do you know I wasn't dishonorably discharged? She said. The unicorn brightened, which Allison had to admit was something to see. Are you a lesbian? I'm pretty sure that doesn't count towards virginity. I am pretty sure it does. And sorry, but no. Well, it was just a thought, the unicorn said. Let's go. I'm not going anywhere without coffee, Allison said. She wanted a shower, too, but she had a total of $19 left, so coffee was more in reach. The unicorn tossed his head and snorted, and then whacked her on the head with its horn. Ow, what was that for? Allison said, and then she was wide awake, not hungry, and felt cleaner than she had in 2 weeks of showering in shelters. Oh, all right, that's a trick. And then she stared, because she was stone cold sober, sitting on a bench in Central Park in the middle of the night, and there was a unicorn standing in front of her. Just let me do the talking if we run into any other unicorns, the unicorn said, pacing her. At 4 a.m. by the clock on the CNN billboard, even the streets of Manhattan were pretty quiet. But Allison would still have expected the unicorn to get at least a few double takes from the taxi drivers and the drunks going home. But nobody did more than nod to her, or at least to the uniform jacket. She was half-heartedly trying to convince herself she really was hallucinating, or still drunk, but it was a losing fight. She'd had freakish dreams before, but nothing like this, and there was something uncomfortably real about the unicorn. It was actually kind of creepy. Where did you come from, anyway? Like fairyland or something? The unicorn turned its head and gave her a blue-eyed glare. Yes, fairyland, it said, dripping sarcasm. Fairyland, where the fairies and the unicorns play, and never is heard a discouraging... All right, geez, she said. Do you want me to buy you an apple or something? Would that make you less cranky? The unicorn snorted and minced disdainfully over some flattened droppings left by one of the carriage horses. Anyway, we're always here. You idiots just don't notice anything that doesn't shove itself in your faces. You've never spotted the elves either, and they're taking up half the tables at Per Se every night. Hey, Belkazar, a cat said, walking by. The unicorn very slightly flicked its tail. Social climbers, cats. With a sniff after they had passed further on.